All right, everybody, welcome back to another week of the Lasting Learning Podcast. For those of you that have been around for a while, you know that this is a podcast about school. That's really not about school. I try to pick the brain of experts out there that try to tell us what school could be, what school should be, what school is supposed to be setting us up to learn and to be later on in life. Lately, I've had the opportunity to have some conversations with some pretty incredible people, and today is no exception. Today, we get the opportunity to talk to a girl from just outside of Philly, a girl from Pennsylvania who really helped jumpstart the whole Edu Gladiators publishing movement. For those of you that don't know, Edu Gladiators started off as a movement a couple of years ago, just of people going out there to try to change schools, trying to change education, and they started a publishing arm. And our guest today was the very first published author from Edu Gladiators, which is amazing. I'm super pumped to have Krista with us today. So Krista, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually co-author. It's not just my book. My co-author and very, very good friend, John Treese, he also wrote it.
That's awesome. Well, starting off with humility. I love it. So Krista, since we have you here today, can you just go ahead and introduce yourself to those couple of people that might not know who you are?
Sure. Hi, I'm Krista Venza. I'm currently the principal at Muhlenberg Elementary Center in Reading, Pennsylvania, just outside of the Reading School District area, near Philadelphia. I live closer to Philadelphia than where our school is, but yeah, I'm the principal. I'm going on my third year as principal here. Previously, I was the assistant principal at our middle school in this district. And before that, I was an instructional support facilitator in another school district. Then before that, taught special education. Mom of 4 boys, 2 in college and 2 in high school right now. So busy and, just love being with kids, love working with people, love education. I'm an education junkie, read everything, listen to podcasts, try to take it all in. Everybody's different ideas and what they have to contribute to helping kids be the best they can.
Wow, that's awesome. So for those people that are just listening to this and not watching this, you might have seen my jaw drop when you heard her say that she's the mom of 4 kids and she's got 2 in college, because there's no way you'd pick up on that looking at you. So take that and run with it.
Thanks.
But those of you that
my mom's beautiful. So
awesome.
I was lucky to get those genes from her.
Very good. Very good. So mom of 4 boys, I'm a dad of 4 kids myself, 3 boys and 1 girl. So I understand and appreciate the busy life that you are leading. And I really resonate with you as well, spending time in a middle school and then going down to an elementary. That transition is always a doozy. I did
never ever thought I would do it. I was a secondary person all, through my career. Never thought I'd do it. And now I totally fell in love. And I love the little ones. I love working with little ones. And I don't know if I would ever, I don't know, but I'm loving it now.
So can we talk about that for a second? Like what prompted that change? Why would you go from, you were a middle school assistant principal before you took this current job, is that right?
Yes.
So why would you be willing to go down and hang out with those little ones that there's a lot of snot and a lot of shoe tying,
And that's the reason I said I'd never do it. And I probably tie 100 shoes a day. So it is true. It was an opportunity that came in my district, and I just love this district. And when this opportunity came open and they believed in me, and I thought that I had a lot to offer and knew that I was walking into an amazing staff already, I just couldn't let that opportunity pass.
That's awesome. And like you said, you fell in love with it. Sometimes you don't know what you know
until
you go out and take that chance. So kudos
Absolutely.
to you. That's awesome.
And now I look at it like this: if I can help to, give those kids the skills when they're little, and we teach them how to care about others and how to be a student and how to be a good community member when they're little, it's so much easier to do it then than when they're 14, 15, which is what I spent my career doing.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, you've had that unique advantage to see the end. You've seen both the middle and the end. You know where kids are supposed to be going. So now you can really pour your attention into providing that foundation. And I love how you said focus on the skills that kids will need, not necessarily
Yes.
the content, not necessarily what facts they have to memorize, but you talk about being kind and
Yes.
being quote unquote good people. And that's really that's what your
Exactly.
heart is, right?
That's what we talk about every day. I tell them, every single day I tell the teachers that if they can help them to, help the students develop those kinds of skills, then we win.
Yeah, so good. It's cool. As a mom, you can probably relate to this, and as a dad, every night with my kids, we say, "What's your high and low?" I want to know what the best thing was about their day, and what's the lowest part of their day, and we really want to celebrate their emotional connection to school and friends and all of that. And even on the first day of school, I asked the question, "Is your teacher nice? Did you make any friends today?" Because that's truly what matters. Very rarely do I ask the question, "What did you memorize today?" I
Absolutely.
never ask that question to my kids
Yes.
because yeah, memorization is cool and it's important for some things, but those other things are so much more important.
Yes. Along those lines, it might maybe offend some people, but like clip charts, and I'm not a fan. And I think a lot of my teachers actually agree. I mean, some people, they work really well for them, but several people have said, do we have to keep doing this? And I'm like, if you can figure something else out that works for you, please rip it off the wall. Because it breaks my heart when kids run up to me every day and they're like, I was on pink. And I'm like, that's great. But I want to say, like, what did you learn today? Or how did what did you do to help someone? Or, what great interaction did you have with your teacher? And parents do too. They come and they're like, what color were you on today? And that's the first question. And I'm like, my heart just,
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I really push about, like the relationships and teaching skills, to be able to be good human beings instead of trying to like focus on what color they were on.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you went there. And I'll push back even harder than you just did because you are very sweet and very nice about it. So I was talking to somebody a month or so ago, actually recording one of these podcasts. And it was somebody that I connected with on social media. And during the podcast, I asked the question, when did we first get connected? Like what really blew things up for you? And she made the statement that a couple of years ago, she was just getting into social media and she read a post from somebody that was talking about using clip charts in their staff meetings and how that would translate. I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. I wrote that post. So I am so against clip charts. And you actually said something in there. You said that for some teachers, it actually works well for them. Yeah, I would argue it works well for a lot of teachers, but it doesn't work so well for a lot of kids. And that's
Exactly.
what it's
You're right.
about. And it probably does help some teachers maintain control and compliance, but bullying and humiliating kids in order to get your control and compliance, not the best approach. So there, I said all that, so you can say,
There
well,
you go.
said it.
I
You
had
can
to
say,
say,
I
no,
would,
Dave said it.
no, I completely agree. We want to teach kids to be good people. We want them to have hearts and we want their motivations to be pure and genuine, not doing things out of fear or embarrassment. So
Yeah. Actually, John and I have a chapter in our book about just that thing, like what's good for us should be good for our kids. Because so often we hold kids accountable for things that we would never as adults stand for.
yep.
First of all, I would never be able to put a clip chart in a faculty meeting. And when people are looking at their phones or grading papers, like go to clip down, that would probably cause a grievance,
Yeah.
Or if somebody doesn't turn their lesson plans in on time, or do something that I asked them to do that day, I don't hold their pay from them,
Yeah.
or things like that. Or if a kid just becomes it's some overwhelmed or had some anxiety or something, they don't have all of the opportunities that we do as adults. They can't take personal days or vacation day or things like that when we need to reset or to take care of ourselves, or to be able to simply get up. I mean, I've done it, walked out of a faculty meeting to say to use the bathroom, but I just needed to walk out of there for a second.
Yeah.
Things like that. The kids don't get to do that. But working on something in another class, from another class, a lot of times the paper gets taken from them and thrown away and they're embarrassed and they get a 0 for that other class.
Yeah.
But how many times have we worked on something else at a meeting?
Absolutely.
And we aren't treated that way. So it's just kind of to make people think about, like, sometimes kids are punished for being human.
Right. And ultimately our goal is to prepare kids for their future. And yet we're telling them we're being these complete hypocrites because in their future, this is all acceptable, but right now it's not. I'm thinking back as you're telling the story. In my prior job, right now I live in Michigan and I work in the central office, but before I moved here, I was down in Florida. And I worked at an elementary school as a principal, and it was an elementary school that had 90% poverty, 40% of the kids had at least one parent in jail, and it was an intense school. But my second staff meeting, I know it was my second staff meeting because we were 1 month into the school year. I posted a picture at the front of the room that teachers had to see when they came in, that to this day lives on in infamy because it did not go over well. But it was a picture of our kiddos. It was a first grade classroom who the teacher did a great job of keeping the kids quiet and composed because she had them all with their hands behind their back, walking down the hall with bubbles in their mouth. Up here in the Midwest, people don't know what that looks like, but it's truly hands behind your back and mouths closed. And next to that, I had a picture of prisoners in Tallahassee
Okay.
with the exact same pose. And I just asked the question, what are we preparing our kids for? And it was an interesting conversation, to say the least. But again, what we set our kids up for today is who they become tomorrow. So we have to make that cognizant. But again, that's a Schmitto thing. You didn't say it, I did. So let's talk, Krista, before we started recording today, you're talking about what you're doing in school today. For those that don't know, we're actually recording this on a Sunday.
It is a Sunday.
You're building right now. Why? Why are you at work on a Sunday?
Well, it's not all that uncommon, but today, I'm so excited. We had a sensory walk put in a 90-foot hallway today. So a sensory path for the students to go through. I have pictures, I'll post them and things like that. But we've been talking about this and with teachers sharing pictures and websites and things for probably 2 years now. And today it happened. And tomorrow the staff and students are going to come into this amazing sensory path that we're going to be utilizing for our kids to help them when they need to calm down and focus so that they can learn.
Paint the picture for us. What, for those people that might not be in an elementary world, what is a sensory path?
It's a beautiful, it's like the vinyl on the floor. I mean, some people paint them or whatever. This is a professional, company that does this that we use, and it's a path. Like there's flowers that have the leaves that have letters and numbers on them, and they hop to them. Or there's lily pads with frogs that they'll jump like a frog. They, go up on tiptoes to do kind of a balance thing, and then squat down and walk that way. There's push-ups on the wall. There's all kinds of a figure eight, an infinity kind of symbol that they have to balance on. And there's just so much research that it helps them, with their brain, and they can calm themselves, and they have to focus to be able to do a lot of these tasks, and it just really helps to calm down and to really focus them.
So cool. And I've seen these things before, and they are absolutely amazing. But I also know there are some people right now that are hearing this and saying, hold on, you're going to reward kids, and you're going to have kids that can't behave go out there and basically play in the hallway. Aren't you supposed to be teaching kids how to just stay in a perfectly straight line and walk down the hall with their mouths closed? What do you say?
Sure. We need to give kids what they need, and some kids need this. I was talking to the owner and creator of this company today, and she said she's had kids that have struggled, serious struggle, pains in their teachers' necks, kids that just cannot, get through the day. And they've had them do this 3 times throughout the day, and now they're just doing great in class. And some kids just need things. We need to make sure that we're giving each kid what they need to be able to be successful. And I'm really hoping that this is one of the things. We also have 2 sensory rooms in our school, and we're just really trying to make sure that we can meet everyone's needs.
It's so good. And again, that's one of those life lessons. We all need something different. Even as adults, we are all at a different place in our journey. We all have more to grow, more to learn. Like you said, there are times you're sitting in a staff meeting, you just have to get up and leave. We're all at different places. And that's one of the things I think that you recognize and you focus in on is your goal is to truly help every single person grow, whether they're kids or adults. I think that's one of your missions as a professional. Am I right?
It is, yes.
So talk about how you recognize adults in the same place, because there are some administrators who use the phrase, if it's best for kids, we're going to do it. And there are some teachers that hear that and say, oh, so you're going to dismiss teachers and you're not going to focus in on us. And I think you're kind of finding that happy balance. And you say, no, I'm also going to pour into teachers. So
Absolutely.
help support them.
Sure. I mean, if we're supporting our teachers, it's going to support the kids then. If we, support them and give them the skills and the support that they need, it's going to resonate and turn into the kids getting what they need. So several years ago, I started something called Just Sharing, and it was, just walking around and seeing awesome stuff in the school that I was in and highlighting it, because, once you go in your classroom and hopefully not shut your door, but shut your door, it can be a lonely place and you just don't know what's going on. And I've found that there's so many experts in our own buildings that we need to tap into. So once I was here, I started, it's called Just Sharing at MEC. It's the acronym for our school, Muhlenberg Elementary Center. So on their own time, before school, before the kids get here, packed rooms, I have teachers coming in and we highlight things. Sometimes we have topics for what the session's going to be about. Maybe it's technology, maybe it's strategies for science, maybe it's behavioral things, classroom management. This past week we had one that was just on tips that make your classroom run more efficiently. And we had teachers present and share some things. And then at the end, people ask questions and then they added on, oh, I do something like that. This is how I do it. And they're just seeing what each other are doing in their classrooms when they are in their own and can't see what's going on. And we just have so many talented people in every school.
Right.
In my school, I have so many talented people, and they have great ideas, and this is a way to share them with their colleagues. So,
yeah, it's so good. I just want to compliment you on something. The fact that you said it's before school, after school. I mean, it's on their own time.
It is.
There's the old Field of Dreams, 1986 Kevin Costner movie. If you build it, they will come.
They will come. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I think that's what you recognize. That I'll use an analogy that I work in central office now, and I had somebody that came to me and said, hey, is there a way that we can use our high school gym? Can we open up the high school gym before school or after school so that teachers can use it? And I pushed back and said, teachers are going to come before school or after school to work out. And they said, yeah, they see the value in it, so they'll come. And they're not getting paid to come work out, but it's going to help them as a person. So they show up and they work out. And that's kind of what you're recognizing too, is that if there's value there, we will come. It's not extra work. It's providing value and strengthening them as professionals. So they are willing to show up and share and celebrate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not only, I think it's not only just to learn those things for themselves, but they're supporting their colleagues, and that's huge. I mean, just having supportive colleagues and people that you can turn to. Have you ever heard the story about the marigold?
Yeah, share it.
Okay. It's a blog post that I read. I don't know who it was by right now, but marigolds are apparently plants that you plant around other kinds of plants to protect them from bugs and deer and rabbits and things like that. So it helps the others grow. And we have, I gave out little pictures of marigolds, and if they wanted to, they could put them on their doors, and that meant, I'm here for you. You can come to me. And down the halls, you see marigolds in every door.
That's
and we tell our new teachers, we meet with them also every couple of weeks, and I was like, first thing I told them is find your marigolds.
That's good.
So that they're sure to have that support, and I think that's really powerful.
Awesome. And just to try to give credit, I believe, and I might be way off base here, but I believe that was in the Cult of Pedagogy.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so
we're on.
Awesome. So, and that's the beauty of this as well, is ideas spread from one person to the next, and they just continue to evolve and morph. You see it with teachers sharing ideas in the mornings, and it's spreading new ideas. You took a blog post that you read, and you were able to take it and twist it for your own needs. Now, maybe there's gonna be other people that hear the same thing, and they can twist it to their own needs as well. It's like the pineapple chart thing, but on a very real level. So again, kudos to you.
My teachers take it to heart, because like they give me gifts like this, like
Marigold pot. That's awesome.
Yeah. and it was sweet. Like it was a thank you note. Thank you for being a marigold for me. And that, it just resonates.
So good. So good. So you, at the very beginning of this, you talked about the idea that, you have a co-author, you wrote this book, and that it's all about, well, it's not all about, there's so much into it, but it's about helping prepare kids and give kids the foundational skills that are necessary to succeed, both in school and in life. You've got a co-author that helped you write this. Can you talk about that and how this all came to be? How did you actually decide at some point, we've got ideas worth sharing, and we're gonna take a chance here and put them out there for the world?
Sure. He John is the dean of students at the middle school, and I was assistant principal. And we found that, well, for the first year that I was there, he had a different role. And I just found that I had the same customers coming into my office day in, day out, and giving the same, menu of discipline that I had available to me was not working. So I was just, assigning detentions, sending kids out of school, and knowing in my heart that it wasn't going to do any good. And then the next year, when John moved into the dean of students position, it was great to have the help, but we just found that we both were now sending kids out of school and signing their 15th detention and having no success with any change in school. So we were like, we need to do something. We need to figure out a way that we can still, assign the consequence, but what we do with that time is where the magic's going to happen. So yes, they're still getting a consequence because we have bosses too. We have to do, we have things that we have to do as well. But we're using that time as the consequence, but what we do and teaching skills is where change happens with behavior. So we started talking about this a lot, and I kind of resurrected an old concept that I did in a previous district, and it was just based on academics, but we kind of tweaked it to be both, so that it would, the steps and the skills would resonate with both academics and behaviors. So that's where it started. And then we had some ideas, and we were presenting, we applied to present at AMLE, and were accepted, and we were all excited. So we went to Texas and presented there, and we saw
just a pause. I was there, and I was actually in your audience, but carry on.
Oh my gosh, right. So, but that's where we met Marlena Taylor Gross, and totally were mesmerized by her at her keynote, and started following her on social media and things like that, and kept in touch, talked here and there. And then the next year in Philadelphia at AMLE, she was a facilitator for 2 of our sessions, and she was like, we need to talk. She's like, I have people that are looking for things like this. I'd love to have you collaborate with us. And so we were like, yes, so excited. And then when the next year rolled around when we found out that we were going to present in Orlando, then she was like, we need to just write this book. So we started writing over the summer, and it just kind of happened.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so we're excited.
And now your words and your wisdom are being shared by thousands and thousands and thousands of people worldwide.
Wow, we hope so.
Oh, that's a pretty cool story. That's amazing. So you had something that you knew worked. At least it worked in your world, and you thought this might help other people as well.
Yeah.
And I want to commend you for recognizing that, and you took that leap of faith, because I think oftentimes in schools we're trained to believe that if you have a good idea, it needs to stay within your room, because if you step out and start sharing with other people, then now you're just being arrogant. Now, I mean, you're supposed to be humble. You're supposed to just mind your own business. You're supposed to just keep things within your classroom, within your school, within your district, worry about your own, and not go out there and share. And we see this at place all the time in staff meetings across the country. I've heard people tell me that they feel intimidated to even share amongst their own staff, because there's always going to be that naysayer that gives them the look or raises their hand to respond or rebut and shut down an amazing new idea. And you took the chance and you said, I'm going to share it here in my district. I'm going to share it with a colleague. I'm going to step out and go to a conference, a national conference, and share this repeatedly at national conferences. And then to even take it one step further and say, and now I'm going to share it with the world through a book. That's huge. That's powerful.
Well, I know that John would agree. We wouldn't be where we are with this now if it weren't for all of these other people that have done it as well in the past, before us, and where we get our ideas and it sparks an idea here and you can run with it. I don't see anything wrong with sharing. I think people should share because, nobody has all the answers. And if you take pieces from here and there, that's where you're going to find something that works.
That's good. I just interviewed Tara Martin. I don't know if you're familiar with Tara Martin from Be Real. And so those people that are listening, her podcast was just shared last week. But Tara just wrote a kid's book called Cannonball In. And she talked a lot about the idea that you need to cannonball in, just take that chance. And yeah, there'll be people that sit on the sideline that critique you and say, what are you doing? You're making a big splash. You look like a fool. You can either listen to those people, or you can look at the other people cannonballing in and get advice and suggestions from them and say, how can I do this even bigger? How can I make an even bigger splash? And you need to focus your ears on the voices you need to be listening to, because there will always be critics.
Yes. I'm a huge fan of Rick Wormley. And,
yes.
Yeah. And I've heard him say many times just how, you're always going to have those naysayers. But if you celebrate the people that are trying and the people that are out there doing it, and you just really celebrate their success, it might get those people that are like, I'm not doing it, to maybe like dip their toe in the water and give it a try because they're seeing the success. So, I always am posting pictures and everything of things that are happening in my school so that, us within our walls and outside can see things that are working for some people. And even if just the littlest thing that somebody else is doing could, spark an idea for you, and then you run with the next idea and it works for you and your kids, that's a win.
That's right. I've said before that teachers are a lot like missionaries. Their job isn't to necessarily go out and save the world. Their job is to go plant the seeds so that the next person can water it and then eventually can start to grow and take fruit. And I see you doing that with adult learners as well. You're planting those seeds, and you've taken the seeds planted by others. Rick Wormley, he's my edu godfather.
I know. I feel like I'm his groupie or something.
I've got Hawaiian shirts in my closet that I wear just when I'm going to conferences that I know he's going to be at. So like I've got that symbiotic. Exactly. No, that's so good. So good. So what is next for you?
I'm working towards doing, just sharing maybe on a bigger scale in the very, very beginnings of ideas about that, to try to make that a little bit bigger and sharing that with more people. So that's what's coming up next.
That's awesome. And I know something else you're passionate about. It's another passion of mine. I feel like we're like these kindred spirits from apart, but helping support new teachers.
Yes.
We talk nationwide right now about this teacher shortage that's everywhere. And I think that oftentimes in schools, we're blaming society, or we're blaming higher ed for not giving us the quality candidates. But I think you recognize that there are people out there, and what we do is we do these new teachers a disservice, and we simply bring them in for a trial run, and then we go out and say it didn't work or did work, and we go find new ones, whatever. You're pouring your heart and soul right now into some new teachers. Am I right?
I am. A lot of them, a lot of awesome ones. But it's not fair just to kind of throw them to the wolves and not support them. But I actually take it a step back. When we have student teachers in our schools, I have a welcome orientation for them and kind of just talk about what it means to be an educator and giving them some tips and strategies and things like that. Invite their supervisors from their college, and we have a little breakfast and everything, and kind of just like making it a big deal. Like, this is a huge, huge deal, a big step for them. And I want them to feel supported. We do observations for them so that we can give them feedback. And then at the end of their session with us, we have a closing kind of ceremony with them as well. But for our new teachers, we're meeting every couple of weeks now, and I'm calling it like new teachers on the block kind of sessions. And we talk about just logistics. We talk about a strategy. It's only for for about a half hour in the morning before the kids arrive. So I kind of get, punch some ideas out there. And one of them that always is a topic is self-care. Because I wish that somebody, when I was just getting started, would have really talked to me about this. I'm just learning it now, really, how to like seriously take care of myself, mentally, emotionally, physically. Yeah. Yeah. So it's something really important, because I tell them, like, they can't serve from an empty vessel. Yep. And they have to keep, filling their own cup up so that they can be the best they can for the kids and each other.
I appreciate that so much. I feel like you are taking this challenge and saying, we can solve this ourselves. Again, the challenge being the teacher shortage. And you recognize what some of the issues are. Is, truth be told, nationwide right now, there's no decrease nationwide in the number of teachers in teacher prep colleges. There's not. In individual states and in regional zones there are, but nationwide, there's been no decrease from 10 years ago to today. The change has happened in the number of teachers that step their foot into the profession and then leave within 3 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. You seem to, you're focusing in on it. I remember as a new teacher, as a teacher, an 8-year veteran, from September to November, I was sick every single day. I was just exhausted. I was beat up. Nobody told me how hard it was going to be. And I would just literally work myself to the bone, to the point where I couldn't even focus on teaching my kids. I was just trying to make sure that I could stay alive, mm-hmm. And you recognize that, and you're honoring that. You're pouring yourself into these new teachers and not just using them as another widget in the machine. So yay.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting students that have more and more needs, and teachers need to wear more, different hats, more and more hats each day. And, it's not as easy as just saying, do this. They need to be, shown and have it modeled, and see other people that are good at it doing it. Their mentors are invaluable, and I keep thanking them so much for the time that they spend with them, and the knowledge and support that they're giving.
So good. It's the concept of what we do, they do. And, PBIS is a big thing all across the country, and you focus on the positive behaviors, and then mm-hmm. the negative behaviors will start to disappear, and people will start to emulate the positives. And it's the same thing for adults. You put those models and those positive examples in front of adults, and they can be copied and duplicated. So awesome. So Krista, just as we kind of wrap up here, I know you've got a lot going on. You've got a book, Results. So for those people that are actually watching this on YouTube, hold that book up real quick, because it's pretty cool. I do want to talk about the cover real quick before we get to the final part. For those of you that are listening, it looks like Tetris, the old school game, the blocks that are falling in, and you're trying to make them all fit. Mm-hmm. Talk about the cover of that book real quick, and where that comes from.
It really was by chance at first. It was kind of like, I wanted the colors to match our presentation. And then this is what the artist came up with. And then we were like, this is just great though. It's finding the things that fit to work for individual kids. And then if you can see right here, there's a blue and a yellow heart. That's a shout out to our school district. So those are our colors. And we've learned so much from the students and the staff in our district. So we wanted to give a little love out to them.
See, that just means you can never leave now.
Yeah.
You're stuck forever.
They have my heart, that's for sure.
Oh, that's great. So 30-second snapshot now. So you've got a book, you've got sensory pathways, you've got new teachers, you've got veteran teachers, focusing on skills, content. There's so much that you are involved in right now. But imagine, if you will, that you have every teacher in America, right? Mm-hmm. And every parent in America sitting in front of you. And somebody passes you a microphone and says, Krista, you've got 30 seconds.
Oh boy.
Fill these people with wisdom. What do you say to them? What's needed today?
Oh my golly. I think it comes down to take care of each other. And when you see someone struggling, help them. Helping kids, something as far as kids, no kid wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be the biggest pain in the neck to my teachers or the principal or anything like that. That's not what they do. If students are acting out, then it's for a reason. So we need to figure that out. Kids act out when they haven't been taught, haven't had enough practice at that skill, or something that's really, like John and I really focus on it, or they haven't had enough practice with success with that skill. So that's our job, is figuring out what each kid needs and working to figure out how to provide them with those, internalizing those skills so that they can be successful. And as far as adults, like, we need to be there for each other. You know, seeing a colleague flounder or have anxiety or struggling is just, we have to make sure that we help them, and make sure that, because if they are floundering, then their kids are going to be then too, and they're not getting what they need. And ultimately, that's why we're here, to help the kids. So help each other, love the kids, figure out what's going on with each of them, and work your tail off to try to figure out how to give them what they need.
So good. So good. And I love your example with the marigolds, and just reminding people that we have to protect each other. And it's so good. A few years ago, somebody got me, I don't know if you remember the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. He was on this island stranded there. Somebody got me that Wilson volleyball that I could put in my office, so I could just remember that I'm not on an island by myself. There's always somebody there.
Yes.
I love that you are taking active steps to remind people that they're not alone, that we all need each other. We all need to lean in and grow and just continue to develop. That's kudos to you. You're doing awesome work.
Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to remind everybody else that's out there right now, when you stop this podcast episode today, you got a couple of assignments. One, to lean in on and find somebody that you can give some attaboys and cheerlead and reach out to them today. Second, go to Amazon. You can just type in, you can type in a lot of different things. You can type in results, you can type in Krista Venza, you can type in a lot of different things and find that book and go get it and read it and take those ideas and those nuggets that are in there and let them sprout new ideas within you. And then go take some action. Do something different tomorrow that's going to change the life of a kid, because that's what it's all about. So Krista, thank you again so much for taking time out of your schedule. I love connecting with you, and I learned so much today. I got my own little notebook here. I don't know if people can see it. They're taking notes, because sometimes I can get so locked into the podcast mode that I lose sight of the opportunity. This is a learning opportunity for me too, and I learned a ton. I've got some things I'm taking tomorrow, and I'm going to implement. So thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It was a blast. Thank you.
Absolutely.